Hello everyone and welcome back to TowerGate. It is day 158, August the 10th, 2017, Thursday. Thank you so much for tuning in. A lot to get to today, so let's get started. You know, I've done several videos telling you about Jack Burkman. I've told you not to believe a single word you hear out of Jack Burkman. But now Jack Burkman has gone to an all-time low. I didn't think he could go any lower than where he had already gone, but clearly he has gone much lower now. And as I've mentioned to you in the past, he is working as a close associate of Mr. Brad Bauman, the PR guy, who he and his firm over the years have represented the Clintons. And I can assure you that he is representing the Clintons now. I'm about 99% sure that Mr. Bauman and his firm are not working pro bono. They are working for the Clintons. They are being paid by the Clintons. And now they have drawn their good friend Jack Burkman into their web of deceit and lies. And now they've gone to the point, they've gotten so low that they're actually going to accuse poor Seth Rich, a man who's not even able to defend himself, to accuse him of essentially of being part of the Russian narrative, the leaker to the Russians. You're just not going to believe this. As I've mentioned before in Jack Burkman's bio, he's known as a guy who travels in Republican circles. However, he was a fierce anti-Trumper. At first, he seemed to like Donald Trump, but apparently what happened was he was going to hold a big fundraiser because he is a lobbyist, and he's also an attorney. He's an attorney, a lobbyist, a political insider, known to be a Republican, runs in Republican circles, but also, works with Democrats. He's a prostitute. Mr. Burkman will do or say anything for money. And, of course, I know he has a close association. He appeared with Mr. Bauman in a press conference or two. He does have a close association with the Clintons, I am sure. Certainly Mr. Bauman and his firm do. And I can assure you that Mr. Burkman has just been called in and added onto the payroll, and I'm sure that if we could get to the bottom of where the money is coming from, if we could follow the money to Mr. Bauman and his firm and to Mr. Burkman, we would find that that money is stained with the fingerprints of the Clintons. I can assure you that. Jack Burkman has gone to an all-time low. If I was within striking distance of Jack Burkman, I would just walk up and smack him right in the chops. This guy is a low-down, dirty dog. I didn't think he would go this low. But it appears now that Jack Burkman is claiming that he has a source who is a foreign intelligence agent who told him that Seth Rich met with Natalia Veselnitskaya, the Russian lawyer, and he's suggesting that Seth Rich leaked the DNC emails to Veselnitskaya, who then gave it to the Russians so that they could take down Hillary. Do you believe this? Do you believe this? It wasn't too long ago that Jack Burkman told us that while he was on his radio show that someone called in and told him that it was the Russians who hit Seth Rich. Burkman is all over the place. So what has happened? Let's read between the lines here. What is happening? Let me tell you what is happening. The criminal corporate media, along with their friends in the deep state, realize that they can't hold back the Seth Rich story. There are too many people talking about it, too many people asking questions about it, too many people who know, especially since Seymour Hersh came out and said, yeah, I have an FBI source. He saw the Seth Rich file. Seth Rich was the leaker. Kim.com has said he was the leaker. Julian Assange has done everything but come out and say he was the leaker. We know about 99.9% that Seth Rich was the person who leaked those emails to Julian Assange and WikiLeaks. That's what we pretty much know. So Jack Burkman comes out a while back and says that this guy calls into his radio show and says, yeah, I know some people that know some people in, Seth Rich, I think he was hit by the Russians because the Russians discovered this or that or whatever. Just the crazy stuff that comes out of this man's mouth is incredible. He's got this phony reward out there. He's also talking about doing a reenactment. They tried to do this reenactment once and it got shut down. Then they're trying to do it again and it was postponed. This guy is an ass clown of the highest order. I just really hate this guy. I really want to smack Jack Burkman right in the chops. There's nothing to me that could possibly be lower. And remember, he is working alongside Brad Bauman, supposedly representing the family of Seth Rich. Can you imagine being this family of Seth Rich and having Mr. Burkman, a close associate of the man who's supposedly doing PR for them, Brad Bauman, paid for by the Clintons? Can you imagine having him come out and say now and to make the argument that Seth Rich was part of the Russian conspiracy, that he leaked the DNC emails to the Russians via Vesselnitskaya so that they could take down Hillary? Absolutely unbelievable. I mean, can you go any lower than this? Can you go any lower? Seth Rich is dead. He can't defend himself. But I will defend him. And many other people will as well. Mr. Burkman, you are an asshole. You disgusting pig. Twitch McConnell. Twitch McConnell should have shut up while he was ahead. He comes out yesterday because he doesn't like the fact that people are criticizing him because of the massive ineffectiveness, which some people believe is incompetence. I'm telling you it's not incompetence. It's part of the deep state coup to deny Trump any success in his legislative agenda. That's what Twitch McConnell is currently working toward. But he realizes that he got so much negative feedback from the statement that he made the previous day that he comes out and has a press conference to see if he can explain himself a little farther. And all he really does is dig himself into a deeper hole. So Twitch comes out and basically says, well, the president, and he's being very sarcastic. The president's kind of new to this business, and I've been around this business for a long time, but the president's new to this business, and he doesn't understand the democratic process and the complexity of the issues, and that it takes time to do these things. Twitch, you idiot. You had 7 freaking years to put together a repeal and replace healthcare bill. You put up a bill dozens and dozens of times, which you and your colleagues all voted for, knowing good and well Obama would never sign it. 7 years, Twitch. 7 years. Now, that democratic process seemed to work very, very quickly when you dropped that first version of the health care repeal and replace bill on us. That bill you tried to squeeze through with your good buddy Paul Ryan, who looks like Eddie Munster with big ears, who also should be defeated in 2018. He's got a good opponent. But isn't it strange how quickly the democratic process worked then, Twitch? Because in that first attempt at dropping Obamacare Light on us, it contained hundreds of billions of bailouts for the insurance companies. You know, Mitch, the same people who bankroll your campaign, and many of your Democratic friends across the aisle. The democratic process seemed to work very quickly, getting those billions of dollars of bailouts to the insurance companies in that health care repeal bill. But once Ted Cruz and Mike Lee and Rand Paul blew the whistle on that fraud and forced you into another position, and then another position, and then another position, made you look like a fool, you incompetent Twitch. Look, 7 freaking years. What progress have you made on the budget? You're now saying you don't think that the numbers work out. You refused to make any progress on the wall. Trump had to go around you and do it through DHS to get the funding. You're now talking about the cap gains cut, which you seem to have always been a proponent of before, and now you're saying that the 15% probably won't fly. Nothing seems to fly with you, Twitch, except for your bird brain, and it probably flies in the wrong direction. Twitch needs to go. There needs to be an immediate emergency session called in the Senate. They need to vote overwhelmingly to replace Twitch as the Senate Majority Leader. And once he loses his position as the Senate Majority Leader, he will certainly resign. I live pretty close to Kentucky. It's a 30-minute drive. I have a lot of friends there. I go there almost every other weekend. My family's from there. Good folks in Kentucky, let me offer a word to, and I know I have at least one subscriber that lives in Kentucky. I think it's either Jarhead or Donnie. One of you guys lives in Kentucky. I always suggest that you walk up to Twitch McConnell the next time he's in town, which I believe he is now because they're on vacation. I suggest you walk up to Twitch and kick him directly in the groin. Do not worry about cracking his balls. He has none. Kick him right in the crotch. Unbelievable. You see, President Trump comes out of the private sector, the same sector that most all of us, if not all of us, work in. And we all understand one simple thing. You've got to produce. You don't produce, you get fired. Twitch McConnell is used to working in government, where they never produce anything except for lies, war, and debt. That's what they produce in the Congress. Lies, war, and debt. Kick him in the groin. Senator Magoo. He just can't STFU, can he? My. This guy comes out today and says he really doesn't like Trump's harsh language and that he should follow Teddy Roosevelt's advice of talk softly and carry a big stick. I would like to take a big stick and ram it right up Miss Senator Magoo's ass and make him look like a popsicle. At least he would have some purpose in his life. Unbelievable. Coming out of the mouth of Senator Magoo. Doesn't like Trump's harsh language. It's almost like I live in a parallel universe. It's surreal. Is this the same Senator Magoo that did the bam 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 Iran, bam 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 Iran? I'm pretty sure it was Senator Magoo. That's right, Senator Magoo. Wasn't it Senator Magoo who once described Russia as a gas station pretending to be a country or parading as a country? I'm sure that was good language, wasn't it? And wasn't it Senator Magoo that described Kim Jong-un as a little fat boy with a bad haircut? He doesn't think that language is a problem, but he has a problem when Trump comes out and states that basically he'll bring all fire and brimstone and all hell will break loose if Kim Jong-un attacks Guam or attacks anywhere else. And I'll have more to say about that later, by the way. And by the way, Senator Magoo, you know as well as I know, Trump did not write that. It was written by neocons, your friends. Unbelievable. Absolutely unbelievable. That tumor must really be taking hold now. Magoo was insane before, but he's lost it now. The tumor is clearly growing and growing and growing. And Magoo's memory and intellect are shrinking at an alarming pace. So let's focus a little bit more. I talked yesterday about what's going on with North Korea and why I'm troubled by what is happening. It's because I know the neocons. I have studied the neocons. I know everything about the neocons. I know where they came from. I know when they came. I know who led them. I know who's been a part of their organization for these many years. Oh, that's right. That's right, neocons. There's probably a few of you watching. I know your dirty little secrets. We know that you started out as liberal Democrats in the Democratic Party, and then in 1968, when the Democrats nominated George McGovern, and he wasn't hawkish enough on defense, and he wasn't a total pro 100% supporter of Israel, you left the Democratic Party of George McGovern, and you went to the Republican Party. And like the parasites that you are, you have infiltrated the Republican Party. You have also infiltrated completely and taken over the Department of Defense and the Pentagon. Now Donald Trump, his entire Pentagon and Department of Defense, the intelligence community, and even the three highest generals and the people closest to Trump in his administration, all neocons. And now they couldn't destroy him with the Russian narrative. So now they're going to have him stumble into a horribly misguided military effort in North Korea, which is bound to be a freaking disaster for all the reasons I've laid out. Here's how the program is working. There's three things happening. Number one, the fear campaign. The fear porn. That's being targeted at you and me. That's why you see round the clock, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week for the past 24 hours. You'll see it for another 2-3 weeks, whatever it takes. They want to get everyone in the country and around the Western world shaking in their boots in fear that Kim Jong-un is going to nuke them. Once they've built up a sufficient amount of fear and they've done the necessary polling and they see that more than 50% of people will support a military strike because they're in fear, then they go to the next step. They've already been working on that, which is to have Trump go out and use language that sort of puts him in a position where he's doing all this tough talk, and then once North Korea does something, he's forced to act. He's forced to take action because he's on record and on camera stating he would. All they need is the right action by North Korea. So what is happening now? Well, as you know, yesterday reported all day long that Kim Jong-un is now threatening to bomb Guam. Why Guam? Why would Kim Jong-un look at the map and go, Guam? Well, let me tell you why Kim Jong-un pointed to the map and said Guam. Because 2 days prior to Kim Jong-un making his statement, the U.S. Air Force, which has a military base on Guam, flew 2 B-2 bombers from that air base in Guam to North Korea, where it flew right over the DMZ. I don't know the altitude, but you can bet it was close enough that they could see it with some binoculars to make absolutely sure that those 2 B-2 bombers were spotted in the skies over the border between North and South Korea. And the North Koreans probably tracked that plane and found out that its point of origin and its point of return destination was Guam. That's why the threat of Guam. Yes, when you fly a couple of B-2 bombers, which could be carrying nuclear bombs, and you fly them right over the borderline of North Korea, you can expect that you might get a response. And this is simply Kim Jong-un's way of saying, hey, I know you flew them 2 bombers right over the DMZ. Not a good idea. If you do it again, I might have to bomb those air bases. This is simply propaganda and rhetoric for Kim Jong-un so that he doesn't look weak around his military advisors, with whom he's always in fear of a coup. Pressure is on him as well. So you see, here's what we have to watch for. First, what you get is the propaganda, the lies campaign, the fear porn targeted at the citizens to get them in fear so that they will support a military action. Once they get enough fear out there and enough people to support the military action, having had the president being fed these talking points, and if you watch that press conference where he used that language that Senator Magoo didn't like, you'll see that he was reading from a paper. That was written for Trump to say. He didn't write that. I know who did. Neocons. They have him surrounded. The next thing that happens is that once the polls show people support it, and the president has gone out there and put himself in a position, basically drawing a red line or saying if they do this, we do this, then the deep state will create a situation where Kim Jong-un will create a provocation. Some people call this a false flag operation. We will do something that we will not be told about that will force Kim Jong-un to do something that he probably doesn't even want to do. They'll do something to force his hand, and he'll do some provocation. And then everybody will turn to Trump and say, well, the people are terrified. Kim Jong-un has just done the provocation you warned of. You said what you were going to do if he did it. Now you got to do it. Boom. Trapped. Mr. President, you're surrounded by neocons. They want to destroy your presidency. And I can assure you that a misadventure in North Korea will not only be a disaster for this country, for the Korean Peninsula, and for the world, it will destroy your presidency quicker than you can say spit. Watch out, Mr. President. You're being set up. I highly advise you to research Gulf of Tonkin incident, which led to the Vietnam War. The Gulf of Tonkin resolution was passed because the American people were told that the Vietnamese, the Viet Cong, the North Vietnamese, fired on a U.S. Navy warship. What they failed to tell everybody was that that U.S. Navy warship had been patrolling within 5 miles of the coast of North Vietnam in North Vietnamese territorial waters for an entire week. It had been going around in a circle, waiting to provocate something with the North. They sent out a couple of little guys in motorboats against a huge battleship to try to let them know that they were violating their treaty, that they were in North Vietnamese territorial waters. Finally, a couple of those small boats fired a couple of pistols at the hull of the ship, and we got the Vietnam War. That's how it happens, folks. Pay close attention. This story will make you sick. A gay escort has been found dead of a meth overdose in the home of a top Democratic donor. His name is Ed Buck. Buck gave $2,700 to Hillary Rodham Clinton in 2015 and $250 in 2016. He's one of California's top Democratic donors. If you want to see, and he's a real fruitcake. Oh, by the way, here comes a microaggression alert for you. I'm about to say something that you may not like. If you're offended by certain colorful language regarding homosexuals, probably want to turn off the video now. For the rest of you, if you want to see a picture of Mr. Buck, who certainly does look like a cinder fella, he looks like a twinkle toes to me. He's as gay as you can get. He's got him a little bow tie, or a little rainbow colored bow tie. And you can see his picture, big and bold, right there on Hillary Clinton's Facebook page, as she is standing there in a picture posing with him. Ed Buck. Apparently, his fetish, as sickening as this is, his fetish, he's a white man, his fetish was to send out one of his thugs or people, because he's a rich man, to send out people to go out and procure young black men and to bring those young black men back to his mansion, where he would give them meth and coke and heroin and pot and anything else that they would consume. He liked to watch them drugged to the point where they couldn't walk. And to this, he found erotic. He found this to be erotic and would please himself as he watched these young black kids basically OD. That is a sick son of a bitch and a close friend of Hillary Clinton. He probably does a little spirit cooking on the side with John Podesta when he's in town. The Gateway Pundit reporting that the DNC has now been slapped with an FEC complaint for colluding with the Ukrainian government during the 2016 election. The complaint has been filed by a group called FACT, the Foundation for the Accountability and Public Trust. So it shouldn't have taken this private group to do this. This should have been done by the Congress. Uncle Bob and his pro-Hillary Clinton donor posse should have included this in their investigation, but they did not. So this private group has now come forward and filed an FEC complaint, that's the Federal Election Commission, which is loaded up with Republican and Democrat insiders who won't do a damn thing. Gateway Pundit also reporting Fusion GPS began turning over documents to the Senate Intel Committee today, being Wednesday. Glenn Simpson is expected to testify in a closed session. The date is not known. First he was going to testify, then he wasn't. Then he was. Now he's got the stipulation it must be in closed session, and they cannot ask him who paid for the dossier. Unbelievable. Absolutely unbelievable. Man, oh man. You need to drag this guy's ass into a courtroom in front of a grand jury and a judge and ask him these questions. And you know what? If the intelligence community wanted to find out who that donor was who paid Fusion GPS, they could do it. They could do it in about probably 1 day or less, a few hours. Put a couple agents on it, they'd find that donor. I promise you that. A lot of people talk in D.C., especially if you grease their palm with a little bit of that green stuff. That's all you got to do. They'll talk, 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 talk. Unbelievable. Now, many of you believed yesterday that when I told you that Hillary Clinton was considering becoming an ordained minister, that I was joking, that it was something I got from The Onion, that I was fooled. No, 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 no. This is a true story. It's being reported many places, and there are multiple sources. Not people who know Hillary Clinton, but people who actually do know her personally, including this Methodist minister and several other people. Multiple sources on this story that Hillary Clinton wants to become an ordained minister. I was not joking. But on my Facebook page, a couple people having some fun with it. Just to prove to you that I was not joking, I will provide a link for you to just one of the many sites that posted this story with their sources, named sources. I will post that. I just grabbed the very first link I could find. There's plenty to choose from. I believe it's townehall.com. And you can click on that link and you can read the story for yourself. That's right, I was not joking. Hillary Clinton wants to become an ordained minister. Because according to one of the sources, it's one of Hillary's fondest ambitions is to teach scripture in church. I'm not lying, man. I'm serious. The Church of Clinton, the Church of Clinton. Oh my goodness gracious, man. It should be in The Onion. It could be in The Onion. It should be a joke, but it's not. And like I said, and I wasn't joking when I said that she could have Anthony Weiner as the youth director. I mean, she could bring in Debbie Wasserman Schultz to set up the church's security and IT system. She'd probably call the Awan brothers. Probably could have Robbie Mook working in the executive leadership position of the church, laying out the program for how to save more souls. That would be a good idea. Maybe they can start with John McCain and move on from there, because Senator Magoo certainly needs some prayers. Maybe they'll do a little spirit cooking. In fact, hey, how about after the Sunday morning worship service, they all go back to John Podesta's house for a little spirit cooking. I'm sure that he can invite the youth minister, his good friend Anthony Weiner, over with some of the kids. And they could have a pizza party. You know, back when Hillary was First Lady, she had a spiritual advisor. And there were reports back then, rumors and reports, that they had seances. And that she would like to they would have these seances and try to summon, Hillary wanted to summon up the spirit of Eleanor Roosevelt. If you think I'm joking about that, Google it. I remember it well. Hillary Clinton, the spirit cooker, going to be a minister. Maybe they can set up the first location for their church in Haiti. A lot of people down in Haiti need some help. I don't know about prayers, but one thing they could sure use is all that fucking money back that she stole, along with her husband, to purchase that new $6 million mansion in the French Polynesian Isle, or wherever the hell that is, where they do not have an extradition treaty. My goodness. Finally, it was ABC News Arizona 15 was the news station, and reporter Christopher Stein, who broke the story of the Loretta Lynch-Bill Clinton meeting on the tarmac. It was purely by accident. It was a reporter who was there covering some other story and saw this peculiar thing going on and figured out there was something going on. And he learned exactly what was going on. That Bill Clinton was having a little meeting on the tarmac with Loretta Lynch. Now this story has taken a completely new twist. As I told you a couple days ago, the American Center for Law and Justice just received over 600 pages, mostly redacted documents regarding the notes about that meeting on the tarmac between Clinton and Loretta Lynch. And the reason why we now believe, according to this reporter from ABC News Arizona 15, the reason why a lot of that's redacted is because he says it's because there were about 10 or 15 people at the Justice Department who were discussing what to do about the fact that this secret meeting had just been exposed. Because he says, the reporter, this Christopher Stein of ABC News Arizona 15, says that right after he got back to the news station and told his producer, along with the cameraman who was there with him, said, hey, forget this other story, look what I stumbled onto. Before they could even get that story on the air, someone from within ABC News 15 contacted the Department of Justice and said, hey, one of our reporters has stumbled onto your secret meeting between Loretta Lynch and Bill Clinton at the airport. Just so you know, they're going to do the story. It's going to be coming on live on TV here anytime soon. They got the story. You better think of something to do. And that led about 10 or 15 people in the Department of Justice, including Loretta Lynch, some people at the FBI, most likely Comey, to get together and say, uh-oh, how do we spin this? How do we cover this up? That is what has been redacted in those hundreds of pages. But they're probably not going to get away with it, because the American Center of Law and Justice, as well as Judicial Watch, are both going to be going to court to sue to get the full reading, the full transcripts, non-redacted, because redaction should only occur when there's something that has to do with national security or something like that. They can black out some names and things like that. But for the most part, you can't send someone something like that with 90% of it redacted and say it's national security. There was nothing of national security that was being discussed about we're talking about the discussion about what to do about the fact that the so-called secret meeting had just been blown, the cover had been blown, and that was public. That's what it was all about. Nothing to do with national security. And Bill Clinton was not the president of the United States, so he certainly wasn't acting in any capacity as a president or anything like that. He was a private citizen who boarded the airplane of the Attorney General 2 days before she was supposed to have her tea and crumpets meeting with the FBI and share a good laugh. The hits just keep on coming. And one final thought for you. I hate to make you mad at the end of a video, but we are now learning that Jeff Sessions and the Department of Justice has reopened the Clinton email case, and this happened several weeks ago without us even knowing. Several months ago, actually. Just now learning about it, that they have reopened the Clinton email case, and in fact, it appears that behind the scenes at some point, they have already made an offer to Hillary Clinton for a plea. They want her to plead guilty to some minor stuff, to let her off the hook for the major stuff, to put it all to bed. No way! Lock her up! That was the chant. It's still the chant. Lock her up. No immunity for anybody. No plea deal. Lock her up. I'm starting to get angry. And based on that, I'll let you go. Thank you so much for tuning in. TowerGate, day 158. August the 10th, 2017, Thursday. I'll see you tomorrow night. Take care.